Hello and welcome. This is rooflemonger, my friends. It is Tekken trailer time again. This time we're getting Steve Fox, Tekken's resident boxer, making his Tekken 8 trailer debut. And things are a little bit different this time around. Some of his move properties have changed. His look's a bit different, and the look, going by what I'm seeing on social media, is a little bit controversial, specifically in the face. Now, I got no horse in this race. I think he looks fine, honestly. Your mileage may vary. I've seen some dastardly people on Twitter trying to make fun of the situation and exaggerating. But overall, I think he looks fine. So Steve is still Steve, right? He's still the boxing character. Once again, a couple things switched up a little bit. Seemingly has some new tricks as well, as we'll cover in the trailer. And one of them I'm personally very excited for, because it's seemingly grappling related. But yeah, so let's talk Steve, let's talk the trailer. So let's rewind a little bit and go back to the start. So to begin with, everyone's got their fancy nickname in Tekken 8, and for Steve, his nickname is the Counter Punching Paragon. And although new look, Steve has to remind you how overwhelmingly British he is, so he does have the Union Jack on his pants, and seemingly like some coat of arms on his shoulders. I looked it up, so in Tekken 8 it looks like Steve's going to be 22 years old, which means he'll be 2 years younger than his mother. Because Tekken is weird like that. Best not to think about that too much. So let's think about the gameplay, and already in our first sequence we got some changes. So out of the gate we got an all new move. We see the little blue slices following it, so it's a tracking move, so it's not easy to step. And also seems to be just slightly plus on block. It does seem similar to his Peekaboo stance 2, but he's doing it from standing, so it's definitely not that. And then we see counter hit down forward 2 afterwards. So that's great, except you can see like a stomach crumple effect versus how it usually would be. For comparison, down forward 2 in Tekken 7, if it hit counter hit, it would be an effect like that. Versus here in Tekken 8, you can see kind of the stomach crumple instead. And after that connects, cancels in the ducking stance. Steve has a lot of stances if you are not aware. And from ducking stance, we get the machine gun punches. So out of the gate, new toy, and a pretty fundamental change to how one of his classic tools have worked. Still get the combo, right? You still get a follow-up, but not how it normally would be in Tekken 7. Now, let's keep the new cool stuff train going. So at first, I thought this was just like a backdash into the new punch, but no, it seems to be like some sort of new backsway stance, because it's a lot more elaborate than just the regular backdash. And then this guy right here. So this is a big F-off punch, and not only that, it's a guard break, as you can see by the glass breaking effect. So what a guard break is specifically, well, it means after you block this move, you cannot block anything else as long as the move is fast enough to connect. So it can lead to guaranteed damage. Specifically in Tekken 8, like Jack is a really good example of this, Jack 8, right? But the thing is, Jack 8, to have his best guard break, he needs to be in the heat state. And Steve is just doing this normally. So at will, without any setup, apparently it seems he can just get a massive guard break going on. Although it may be tied to this new backsway animation specifically, but still, that's pretty huge. And after this, he goes for 1-1-2, which is seemingly, once again, guard break guaranteed. And then after this, we see some fun stuff, which will also inform some other information we have later in the trailer. So after he takes his seemingly guaranteed 1-1-2, he cancels that into the duck stance. Once again, Steve has a lot of stances, right? And you can cancel the duck stance into an even lower duck. And for the uninitiated, how this works is, basically, you have all sorts of options out of duck stance, but if you do the double duck, then those options get a lot better and a lot stronger. Like, duck forward 2 is negative on block, double duck forward 2 is plus on block, and can guard break and lead to some guaranteed damage. Although that seems to be different here, because we already have a different guard break to take care of things. So here, double duck forward 2 does chip damage, as you can see, but King can move after the fact, so I don't think you can get anything guaranteed in that specific point. Which is fine, we have a different guard break now. And also, as we'll see later on in heat stance, there's probably a reason why this change was made. Now here, this whole sequence, also some new interesting changes, some new toys to play around with. So first, duck stance 2, which is a launcher. Then we got duck right shoulder, so duck right 1, into a new string follow-up. So he's got a new toy to play with, which is good, and causes the old tailspin state. So not the new tailspin or tornado, whatever you want to call it with all the fancy graphics, but a new one. And then we got that guy. So briefly entering what seems to be a new stance, and then just goes for a big like F-off uppercut, which does cause the actual tailspin / tornado state. Although they're not showing us the combo past that point, but we do have more combos here. So we can see here, we get the punish on the knee, so back 1-2, bounces off the wall. Then after that, we go for duck stance 1, crumples, and since they are not pushed out because of the wall, we can stay right near them, and to this madness, just Steve unloading on the dude. All new as far as I can tell. Then we got Steve and Horong just kind of talking some yang at each other. I think kicks are better. I think punches are better. Well, I guess they got to settle it with an old-fashioned fight. Since it's Steve's trailer, spoiler, punches are going to win this fight. And we get this sequence here with some interesting new toys going on. So out of the gate, back 1, counter hit, so crumple. Double duck stance 1, scoops them off the ground, and then we're going to rebound them here with the heat burst. Here it looks like stand 2, new ender for stand 2 string. Tornado, lands, peekaboo stance, forward 2, 1, and also splats against the wall. So you think they could get something else here, but they cut here so they don't show the end of the combo. And now here's some other major changes. So we get a block punish, right? So back 2, but the back 2 does not punish the same way it did before. Before it would be like a front crumple state, right? And now you just hit them in the gut, they stagger, and he gets a down forward 1+2 follow up. So certainly a big change for back 2, right? But it seems to be indicative of how Tekken 8's working, where a lot more effective links, if you want to call it that, like Street Fighter, where it'll leave you standing with enough frame advantage to get a guaranteed follow-up. At least that's what I've been noticing anyways. And this Steve change is sort of following along with that trend. But anyways, down forward 1+2 heat engager, so follows through, and then just directly goes right into the heat smash, and you know, appropriately cinematic enough. Bops you in the head, something fierce, big old bounce after the fact. And now we have this entire sequence, and this is absolutely my favorite part of the trailer, and by a lot. So first up, that big wind-up punch from the beginning of the trailer, here it is again, crumples on counter hit, heat engager to follow up with. And we're going to see some interesting uses of heat, not the least of which right here. So Steve goes into forward duck stance, forward 2. And you've already seen forward duck stance already a bunch in this trailer, right? But you can see he has the heat explosion coming from it. So that means he's using heat while doing the stance. So after duck stance, forward 2, and it's like we saw earlier in the trailer, right? The big orange glow, so it does chip damage, and might be a bit plus on block. And the thing I'm reading into this is, you can get basically the double duck stance moves, the one with the enhanced properties, off the regular forward duck stance. It will take some of your heat gauge, sure, but you're in heat, you get bonuses, right? So that's what this reads to me. So he can be a lot more vicious and get the better moves off the double duck stance off the regular duck. Therefore, you can do them much more faster and at a greater pace. That's how I'm reading into this anyways. And then we get this guy. So he goes for a proper like boxing clinch. And then you can see it just absolutely beats Horong's face in after the fact. This reads very much like a throw. So after forward 2, he goes into duck cancel, double duck, and then goes for this big clinch here. And there's no throw that happens immediately. This actually makes me think of like Virtual Fighter Wolf, where he can get you into a clinch stance, and then from that point you have to guess the throw breaks. Or I guess in Tekken terminology, I guess like Marduk's tackle or something, where the guessing happens after the actual initial animation. When the actual attack begins, you can see that little flash of heat. So this move, whatever this move may be, is enhanced by being in the heat state and burning some meter. And he wallops you and sends you flying. So I don't know, I'm guessing, I'm spitballing. My hope is, once you go for the clinch, you have multiple options and the opponent has to guess, you know, multiple different breaks. If it can only be done through double duck, there's a lot of setup needed, right? So a stronger move would be anticipated. This is 1000% my personal grappler bias informing this decision, but I see a grab. I see the cool thing happening after the initial clinch and just gives me hope that he has a setup where he can get you in the clinch, and then you have to guess multiple different techs for multiple different grabs. That's my hope. That's my dream. We'll find out in the end, I guess. So next up, run 2, big bop, heat dash cancel. They're already in heat. What appears to be forward 2 with a new follow-up. That's just like forward 2-2 or something like that. New stance uppercut, which we saw earlier. So big tail spin. Back 1, hold for flicker stance. Then 1, spin cancel, 2 to blow them away. And after that, big old counter hit, rage art. We've seen it before. You got to end the trailer with the big cinematic move, right? Steve very much does not have the lasers and rockets some other characters do, but he does have a Dempsey roll and a really nasty gut punch. Does make me wonder, though, if Steve's been hanging out with the 2D characters a little too much, though, because this looks like basically a big old Reppuken, right? Like, he's got a big old energy wave. Maybe we'll get a DLC character that's like Armor Steve or something, and he has all sorts of projectiles. But that, at this point, is indeed the end of the trailer. A lot of just celebrating here. There's ring posts now. I don't know where they came from, but they're there now. And, well, that is the trailer. So Steve definitely has some new toys, seemingly at least 2 new stances, and obviously new moves from new stances. Some classic properties have changed up a little bit, which I have seen on Twitter, you know, some people are not happy about, but we haven't had our hands on them like to play, so who actually knows till we actually get our hands on them, see how that all goes. And potentially the birth of Steve the Grappler? His character bio does say he's looking for like new moves and new techniques to, you know, kind of freshen up his style. So going full on, you know, lame boxing with all sorts of clinches and then all sorts of follow-ups from the clinch, like we're playing Fight Night or something. Hey, I'd be super down for that. And just to throw this out there to bring up a very old internet fight, all the Fight Night games are way better than any of the UFC games. The wrong franchise survived. That said though, that's our Tekken trailer for today, and we got more coming. We're obviously leading up to the Kuma trailer, which is obviously the most important of all the trailers. Devil Jin, you can head to the back of the line because Kuma is the main event. And until then, I will do my best to cover all these Tekken 8 trailers as they come. And, well, I guess we're at the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Tekken.